Manisha, now Neeraj has already held those 2 medals in his hand, and you have, of course, been with the 2 athletes when they won the medals. Like, they were probably the first people, you talked to them when they won the medal. How are the 2 medals different?
Well, I mean, it's really, comparing the 2 sports for starters is not really doing any justice. We have one sport where you're trying your hardest to be still, not move, not breathe, count your heartbeats, and then we have another sport where you're trying to kind of move so many elements at the same time. You're running up, and albeit in a very efficient manner. So it's not doing justice if I compare the 2. Just as the comparison between shooting and javelin are, that's the personality of these 2 too. So they're very, very different medals. There was, the journeys were very, very different. One, Abhinav was in his 3rd Olympics, and that medal was some sort of a redemption medal. It was, it was always meant to be after Athens. It was, the solace after so much disappointment. And it was the kind of light at the end of the tunnel, and it was a very long and dark tunnel. And Abhinav will, he doesn't like to relive those days. And now looking back, it was worth the journey, of course. But during the times, it was not such a fun time. It was a time of a lot of struggle. It was a time of a lot of anguish. And redemption was the only thing on his mind. And then cut to 13 years later, where we have this fellow, and it was his first Olympics, and it was like, okay, ये Olympics देखते हैं कैसे होता है, बढ़िया throw आएगा, madam जी, फिक्र मत करो, हम जा रहे हैं. So it was very nonchalant, and he's like, okay, let's go see what this Olympics is all about. So, I mean, not to take away from his hard work, which was completely off the charts, but it was a very different perspective, and they were both very heartening in their own ways. And of course, the medal at the end makes it all the more special, not just for them, but for all of us. As they both said, the medal is the country's and not theirs. So it's been a real privilege and an honor to be, through the journey.
Manisha, I mean, what are the things that Abhinav did? Abhinav, you left no stone unturned, right, in the quest for gold. Do you want to tell us some of the crazy things you did?
There was a few of them. He used to call me all the time at one point and be like, okay, we need to find the edge. So now you need to find me something new to try. And I need to try something new this week. So Abhinav, why don't you enlighten us?
I had forgotten about all what I did. And in preparation for this session today, I had to actually make notes and look back at my autobiography. But I'll give you a few instances because, I really try to take every vertical out of the equation in trying to prepare for the games. Of course, there's a mental side to my sport. There is a physical side to my sport. There's a technical side to my sport. And there's a tactical side to my sport. So I had to break everything down into these various verticals and work on these individually. So for example, on the mental side, I went to South Africa and got my brain mapped. I was there in a laboratory where 32 areas of my brain, I did not even know that there were 32 areas of my brain, got mapped. And, I shot 3,000 shots. And after 3,000 shots, we analyzed that when I was shooting well, there was a certain sort of brain activity that was happening. And then through the use of science and technology, we were able to recreate and get back into that mind space. At that point of time, there was some research, and I read somewhere that yak milk is very good for concentration. So I imported liters and liters of yak milk, and I still have some. So if anybody's interested, get in touch with me after the session. In the test event, for example, we have a test event prior to the Olympics. I recorded the whole final because the sounds of that environment were going to be very similar in Beijing. So I would visualize in samadhi tanks. These are flotation tanks where you have 1,000 kgs of Epsom salt and you lie weightless, and I would visualize and plan what sort of a thought process I would have and link it to every announcement that was going to be made in that day on that Olympic final. I had very bad eyes as an athlete, and I was a shooter and needed good eyes, but my strength was to really was on the kinesthetic sense. So I would really base my performance on feeling. So I needed to improve on that area. So I used to train in dark rooms where I couldn't see anything, but that enhanced my sense of feeling, for example. I worked with a deep sea diver to learn breathing techniques, to learn how to get calm and get calm quite quickly in 15 seconds, because that was what my sport was all about. On the physical side, I started off, I got into the sport of shooting because it did not involve movement. I was this little overweight kid who hated to move, so shooting was the best fit. But to be successful in it, I also had to get good at it, and I had to be physically fit. I used to run 10 kilometers 5 times a week, because shooting is all about shooting in between heartbeats. So I had to have a very good cardiovascular system. I worked a lot on strength training. Manisha, do you remember we were in Australia one January of that summer, and I was training with a sailor. Can you tell, who was it, the geeky shooter who was lifting more weights, or was it your sailor?
No, it was the geeky shooter. But
Yeah,
the same
so-
trip of Australia, we used to run to this clinic every day. And I was jet lagged, and I mean, after running 10 kilometers, he was fine. And I used to sleep the whole day. One time I even missed dinner because I slept from one morning to the next.